I go by the name of Parker Zensai, the anime freshman.
Hi, and I'm Arfath of Arfath Eats.
And today, we're joining forces with Happy Lamb in Bayswater to serve you up with another portion of our Fresh Bites review show. But today, we're joined by our party.
Hi, I'm Yoshida.
Hi, and I'm MGK.
And together, we're going to be taking a bite out of anime.
Monsters. Anime.
Call me a happy lamb because that's what we're eating at for this episode of the Fresh Bites review, which currently is my personal favourite hot pot spot in the city. From the capital of gourmet lamb in Inner Mongolia, Baotou, Happy Lamb Hot Pot travels thousands of miles to bring you the best Mongolian style hot pot right here in London. Hot pot is usually a communal eating experience where a pot of constantly hot boiling broth or simmering soup is in the centre of a table with a plethora of ingredients on offer to dip and cook in the pot to impart warmth, freshness and flavour. Hot pot ingredients can be an array of almost anything, but the most popular are beef, seafood and veg, and what makes this such an easy and special dining experience is because the meat comes out freshly, beautifully and thinly cut, so everything cooks super quick and everyone can get stuck in. We'll be covering and eating a lot of this to showcase to you guys too. The opening episode of Delicious in Dungeon sees our party indulging in a huge scorpion and walking mushroom hot pot themselves, so it's only right that we follow in their footsteps. And whilst I get the pot hot, let me hand over to Zen to give you that all important anime breakdown.
Animated by Studio Trigger, known for works such as Cyberpunk Edgerunners, Killer Kill, and Darling in the Franxx. Written by Ryoko Kui, Delicious in Dungeon is a unique anime that combines fantasy adventure with a culinary twist. The story follows a group of adventurers led by Laos, a brave but somewhat impractical knight. After a disastrous encounter with a red dragon, Laos and his party are left with no resources and few options. To survive and rescue Laos' sister, who was eaten by the dragon, they decide to cook and eat monsters they encounter along the way. As they journey deeper into the dungeon, they discover that each monster has its own unique flavor and cooking challenges. With the help of a new ally named Senchi, a skilled dwarven chef, the team learns to prepare and enjoy these unconventional meals. The series blends humor, exciting battles, and detailed cooking sequences, making it a delightful watch for fans of both fantasy and food. Delicious in Dungeon stands out with its creative premise and charming characters, offering this new recipe in the fantasy genre.
Hello. Yeah. I didn't see you there.
Hi. Hi, friend.
We are friends.
Hey.
We are friends. Hello.
Hey. Back again.
Yes.
New location. Where are we today?
Today we're here at Happy Lamb, which specialises in hot pot. I couldn't think of a better place to do this episode because today we're covering Delicious in Dungeon. What makes it even sweeter is the fact that the first episode of Delicious in Dungeon revolves around hot pot. So it's a nice segue and introduction into trying for ourselves. Well, we don't have to go through scorpions and slime and walking mushrooms or anything like that, but things hopefully far more delicious. But it's a perfect location for hot pot, and as we're going to go through, it compromises of a couple of really delicious soup broths and bases where you dip vegetables, seafood, meat, and it's going to come back out flavorful, delicious. Yeah, and I can't wait. I'm so excited for this. I can't even.
You're excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. The moment you mentioned that we're going to be doing this hot pot special in Happy Lamb, I was super gassed for it.
Yeah.
It's a thing where I've heard so much about hot pot, and this is Mongolian hot pot, right?
Yes, Mongolian/Chinese is very famous for lamb. That's why it's called Happy Lamb. So they take premium cuts of lamb, but obviously accommodating for beef, seafood, and other things here. And I think what really separates this place from others is the premium quality of meat, as well as the flavor of the broth. I can't wait for you guys to try the broth, because I think that's the game changer for me. Like, I've had some hot pot here and there, but I keep coming back to Happy Lamb because it makes me happy lamb.
Happy?
Yeah.
You makes you happy lamb?
Yes.
He's a happy lamb, guys. He's a happy lamb. Today, I guess we're going to be talking about the anime that we're talking about, which is going to be Delicious in Dungeon, which is AKA Dungeon Meshi. It's basically a anime that focuses around a party who go into a dungeon. They basically have to rescue the main character's sister. So our main character is Laos. In one of their previous excursions into the dungeon, they dived into it. They tackled a challenge to try and fight a dragon, but unfortunately the dragon got the best of them and their sister was consumed by the dragon, which is quite sad. So we're going to be basically touching upon that anime. And who are the characters, or who do we focus on during that anime?
Yes, I think if we start with Laos, who you've already mentioned, he's kind of the leader of the party and the one who kind of spearheads this mission back into the dungeon because it's his sister that's in trouble. He's got I think he's quite innocent. He does have a heart of gold, but he does have these moments of I don't want to be rude, but derpiness of sometimes he'll just jump into something without thinking about it. We'll see in the series that sometimes that comes good. And that's also part of the charm around him. We also have Marcel, who's kind of the elf and mage of the party. She actually has a close relationship to Fallon as well, having studied together. and almost being like best friends and the only females rocking the party. So of course they got a big power there. Then we move on to Chilchuck, who's kind of
he's the rogue, isn't he?
He's the rogue, and he's kind of the trap master. You know, he's the one that helps navigate the party across the dungeon to avoid getting killed, essentially. You know, and then the last person of the party is my favorite. We have our boy Senshi, who joins the party later on, but still in episode 1, and he's essentially the one that helps cooking monsters happen, you know? So, yeah.
Without him, there wouldn't be a show. There would be no Delicious in Dungeon.
We stand Senshi.
So, I think for me, I actually started Delicious in Dungeon a few months ago, and then I stopped. It didn't capture me at first. But then when PZen was like, oh, this is the episode we're doing, I was like, okay, cool, I can get into this, I can do this. And as it goes on, it gets better. And then I like the different themes in the story, like eating together, which is like Happy Lamb is literally perfect for that. So it kind of brings it all together. And I was like, yeah, I'm down. So did a binge watch, as I do. And I'm all for it. I'm waiting for the next season.
And for me, I was happy to get into another type of food anime after Food Wars didn't tickle my fancy. So I'm happy that I was able to get through.
Yeah. It was nice to be able to get through the food anime, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was nice to be able to get through this one, enjoy the food, and enjoy wanting to cook and be a part of the anime. So I'm really happy to be a part of this.
Yeah.
I realized at this point we had the food in front of us, and I forgot to order. So let's
Let's get to ordering. And here's some we made earlier.
Hey, I hope that's a smooth transition because truth be told, we forgot to order the food when we started filming. So.
The funny thing is, I was going to mention the reason that I was a little bit reluctant to start the series is because I had watched our first Fresh Bites review anime, which was Frieren, Beyond Journey's End.
Yes.
And the reason that I was reluctant to start watching this until you officially put this on our plate is because I was like, oh, it's another fantasy anime, it's similar concepts, so let me not. But in advance, I'm just saying thank you for putting me on this.
No, I'm glad, and yeah, I totally understand the parallels of, I guess, a fantasy series like Frieren that we covered earlier in the series. But I think at least with a series where we take a bite out of anime, we could not cover
Take a bite of monsters.
Yeah, we could not have an opportunity to try Delicious in Dungeon, especially because it's new, and I think, like you mentioned before, like Food Wars is now quite old school, and I think like this is now the new take of food anime. So yeah, I think going into that, if you talk about the food, we got a plethora of different items here, a lot of specialties, 2 Happy Lamb as well. So I'm gonna start here. Well, actually, I'm gonna start over here with the I'm gonna.
He don't know where to start.
Oh man! All right. All right, I've decided. I'm gonna start here with the lamb ribs, the Mongolian lamb ribs. These are coated in cumin, sesame seed, barbecue. It's delicious. You can kind of smell it from there in the skewers. The reason I wanted to order this is there's a episode in the series where Marcel, she gets sick, and a really healthy meat for her to eat to recover is liver. So they recently slaughtered a kelpie, and then many cuts of the kelpie left that they wanted to use. I think, to be honest, Lawis just wanted to eat kelpie, to be honest. I think he triggered the moment, but in the process of feeding Marcel liver, the rest of the party were enjoying rib, thigh, breast, leg.
You're getting it all.
That's it. And then Marcel just eating this like liver, I'm sick of liver, just give me something else, So I think that was a really funny moment in the series. And then I will now move on to the spring onion pancake, and that's a little tie-in to early on in the series where Senshi uses basilisk egg to cook up the crew an omelette. And this was still very early days when the crew were not used to eating monsters, so very hesitant to eating anything monsters, let alone offspring. Or the egg in the series is actually not like your hard shell egg you get in real life. It's like this
kind of it's got
bouncy.
The consistency is very very squidgy.
Yeah, so I thought that's like a little funny take on an omelette pancake type of deal. Yeah, so those two for me is a bit of association there. How about you?
If we look into mid over here, we have the dragon tail.
Yes.
Or wait, sorry, the lamb skewer, should I say?
Yeah.
So obviously, what we know the main antagonist to be is this dragon that the crew wants to kind of go out and rescue Laios' sister from. And the reason that we got this is because obviously dragons have tails, and Senshi, who joined the crew a little bit towards the end of their resolve to go to save the sister, he basically is their guru for food. So his ideal, his dream is to actually cook and taste the red dragon. So So that's kind of a tie-in of why we decided to get this one.
One of the scenes I really enjoyed was near the end, and they were making dumplings. And what was the dumpling meat? What was the dumpling meat again? Griffin. So yeah, they made dumplings out of griffin. So we have beef and a lamb dumpling. So one of the really cool things, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a way to change things, and they were able to change the dumplings into different like variations from around Asia, which I think is really amazing because there's so many different kinds of dumplings. I love a dumpling from any region, so give it to me all, yeah.
All right, I think it's time.
Is it time?
It's finally time.
It's time.
Is everybody ready?
What's the time?
It's time to. Let me tell you what time. It's time to eat. Yes, time. Oh my god. We got a copyright that somewhere. So.
We actually do.
Cool, let's do this.
Uniform.
That was actually a funny moment where they had to actually don the frog uniform.
Yeah.
And you had Marcel that didn't really want to actually get involved.
Yeah.
They had to get through that area, and that was the only way for them to make it through safely. So
I think what was funnier was that when they were coming back, she geared up in her frog uniform. But at that point, they're like, oh, we don't need to wear this anymore.
molded into her.
Yeah, because he didn't like it, right? Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Happy Lamb.
Yeah, look, we are actually decked out now. Which, this is to protect all of our clothing so that we don't get splattered with anything.
People wore white today.
Yeah, I didn't think this through. Yeah.
Who wore white to Hot Pot?
Yeah.
Rookie mistake.
Come on, man.
You're the only one that came prepared. You knew the plan. We missed the memo. So we've got our mains here, which also leads us to our main or favorite moments of the show. So who would like to kick us off?
Our living armor over here. So one of my favorite moments was quite early on in the season was the living armor episode, and it was essentially Leos kind of working back from his past thoughts of how to defeat this enemy, this monster. And it was like Mullis, and they're kind of like, what are these bad boys called again? Mussels. So you kind of have to pry them out like mussels, like oysters. So that was one of my favorite moments. I just think I like the story of him finally overcoming, because like you said, he's dopey, but he has his moments where he's quite insightful, so I quite enjoyed that.
One of my favorite moments was early on as well. It was definitely in the first episode, and they come across their first monster and with the walking mushroom, and that was really funny to me because Marcel was just so against it, and even was it Chilchuck also was really against it, and then one day as we prepared the mushroom, and I think it was Chilchuck that said, "Are you mushroom feet sniffer?" After Sin Chen had said that the feet was like a nice delicacy of that mushroom. So yeah, the walking mushroom was just one of the really funny opening part of the anime, which I found really, really funny, and I liked that a lot.
I think you might also mention this earlier, but I'm just going to say what this reminds me of before I let you touch upon that.
Sure.
So this part reminds me of one moment in time where they had to fight plants. There are people out here who every summer they have a battle with elements, and the elements win. There was one scene where Chilchuck and Senshi went to an area and they saw plant beings that they looked like they were mating, or they were in the middle of
they were very
promiscuous.
Seductive. Yeah, absolutely.
And
you have to cover Chilchuck's eyes, you know? And then, don't look.
He's like, protect the young'un.
Yeah.
Literally. And he basically covered his eyes, saying, "Oh, you're too young for this," even though he's quite an old person. They released pollen in the air, and it basically made Chilchuck, it made Senshi, it made Laios, or the mucus was mucusing.
Yeah.
They were dying, puffy eyes, everything, so much so it affected Chilchuck's sense. But they had to be resourceful to get out of that one, and that's what that one reminds me of. In the middle here, I know that we're going to eventually touch upon that, but what this reminds me of is one part that happened, I believe it was episode 18, where there was a cooking show, or should I say a makeshift cooking show. And I remember that part because it made me crack up, because they were walking through a mist, and next thing you know, they were surrounded by doppelgangers. They were surrounded by fakes that all looked like them. and Laios had to basically be the one to decipher who were the real ones and who were the fakes, because everybody knew who Laios' fakes were because it was that obvious. But by the end of it, you actually see that Laios actually is a little bit more attentive than he leads on, because he was able to, I guess, see their traits and know who the real ones were from the fakes. But that was a hilarious moment, and I like the different character designs because each character had their own unique style, and I believe they outsourced that episode, and you saw Chilchuck had a doppelganger that looked like a Disney character. That made me laugh. You had Senshi, who had a sexy Senshi.
Like
he actually, handsome Senshi. Actually. Do you know what? Senshi's a fan service of the anime.
They were like, has he always looked this good? And for me, I'm going to give you a TED talk on Senshi and why he's the best character in the show. We've touched upon him, a few times already in this episode, and why without him a show like this probably wouldn't be possible. He kind of came into the series and into the party very randomly. He spends all his time in the dungeon, and he just saw these travelers trying to cook up monsters, which is what he's been doing for years down there. My favorite moments revolve around Senshi. So early on in the series as well, we find the party confronted with golems, but actually what you realize is on the back of these golems are little gardens, and what Senshi has done is he's tried to work with the ecosystem of the dungeon to create fresh crops and vegetables and cabbages on the back of these golems by taking out their core, harvesting, planting the core back in, and allowing like the natural like mud and protection and what they call it, fertilizer of the golems to create these vegetables in a place you would never expect. So I think that's when you start to realize like Senshi really knows what he's doing down here, as well as like his knowledge on monster anatomy, and like we can eat this part, we can't eat this part, which leads me to one of the funniest moments I found was when they found the treasure bugs. So they found a group of Khalap adventurers, and amongst them everyone was wearing jewelry and treasure, but on closer inspection you realize that actually these are not jewelry at all, they're actually bugs. So what Senshi did is he had two pots. In one pot he put all of the edible jewelry, and in one pot he put the non-edible jewelry, let's call it.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Oh,
no, I know where this is going.
And then he cooked up a delicious sweet treat for the guys using the treasure bugs, and the ones that weren't edible he handed over to Chilchuck and said, we don't need these, we can't eat them. And Chilchuck and Marcel are like,
what should we do with
this? He's like, you can toss them, no problem. Just as the moment the bag lets go,
why don't we need this?
We can't eat real treasure. And everyone's like, what? We could have had real treasure with us.
We could have been rich. They went into the dungeon because they were low on resources.
And I was going to say, exactly, like at a time where they're actually suffering themselves, eating monsters, they actually didn't have to go through all of that. But I think that also shows an innocent side of Senshi, where for him it's about, this isn't really the valuable stuff here. The valuable stuff is us. It's the food, it's the exercise, it's the adventure. And during the series, everyone kind of has a very young tendency. And you can look at Senshi as kind of like the dad of the group, He's very caring. He does have his silly moments as well. He also picks up the other adventurers when they feel a bit down, So
he kind of works on their morale and kind of keeps everybody in check.
So when Laios is obviously struggling with his sister, Marcel really wants to wash his beard, Chilchuck wants to go home. He always says the right things at the right time, and so that's why we stand Senshi.
Stincy Stan Nation.
Yeah, we love you, Senshi.
This isn't actually officially confirmed, but there's something in anime called headcanon, where it's a concept that the community believes something because it is, I guess, perceived, and people run with it. But one common headcanon for this series is that our main character Laios is on the spectrum. A lot of people,
I've heard of that actually.
A lot of people and it might be something that was unintentional because the author hasn't come out and outright said that this is what she did when she created him. But when you look at how he's like, you can kind of see tendencies and traits that would actually resonate with people who may be on the spectrum. And one thing that I just randomly thought about was when his sister complimented him about his barking skills. And then it actually came into, I was thinking, whoa, that's actually not something that should be complimented. But when my man actually had to step up and he had to bark, he
committed, bro. He
committed. So much so he dove in and I
thought he was a dog. I didn't even realize. I forgot the animation. I thought that was,
Yeah, that was a good moment.
I think what's really nice about moments like that as well is sometimes you don't have to explicitly say something like that. Just having a few signs here and there, and maybe for the audience to figure out, or maybe even the characters themselves in the show are kind of figuring out at the same time. I think it's quite endearing. And I think touching upon when Fallon line complemented, his barking skills. It's also at the same time where when Lauer's first suggested eating animals, everyone was a bit like, and then when Fallon heard about it, she's like, that's amazing.
Yeah, she that's family.
And that's how you know. That's how you know. Exactly.
No,
that's sibling power, right?
The Talon siblings are tight.
So I guess to round out kind of the other mains we have, as you guys have mentioned with the walking mushrooms, the living armor, talked about the vegetables. Got obviously a plethora of amazing meat here at Happy Lamb. So we've got a mixture of beef and lamb essentially, which we can kind of play to like, Baromet, which is lamb in the show, Basilisk, which is chicken, Kelpie, which in the show is like a, aquatic horse.
Yeah.
But I think it's the closest thing we have to beef as well in the show, as well as dragon cuts. I think I realized when they were cutting up the dragon into many pieces, it almost looks like what we have in front of us.
It really does, yeah.
It looks amazing. So this is going to be our adventure. And like I said in episode 1, they feast on hot pot for the first time, and that's what kind of brings them together. So I think it's very fitting that we're all here in front of a hot pot, about to dig in.
Yeah. One moment I actually like from the credits is there's actually one scene where you see the hot pot in the opening credits, but there's the second core when it kicks in and the music changes. When they open up a dish, you see the little versions of themselves in the food, looking back at themselves. And I thought,
that's amazing.
You are what you eat. That's what.
I recommend not taking a bath or a little steam in there. It might be a bit too hot for us, but you'll probably leave, being delicious. All right, shall we tuck into this hot pot? Everyone ready to pot hot? Everyone ready? All right.
Itadakimasu.
Let's do this. Itadakimasu.
Awesome. Made it to the end, and
Yes.
It's now time for dessert.
Yep, so for the second time we've made it, and for the second time we've also got ice cream. I think why ice cream today is a more fitting dessert. Number one, it's a really great dessert for hot pot. Additionally, why it's also great is because it ties into one of the episodes where Senshi makes holy water out of an array of ingredients. I don't know how legit it is, but he calls it holy water.
It worked. He basically used ingredients from different things that he felt holy, gave holy vibes.
That's right, and so what he did is he put it into like a jar and it's like swinging it around like different ghosts.
Yep.
And one thing we learned about in the series is like ghosts are cold. So every time he'll be swinging it and hitting and defeating ghosts, this bottle of holy water started to basically get colder and colder and colder, to the point where after they defeated the ghosts, Senshi started looking at it and said, guys, I think we have sorbet, and so it became the title of that dish was Exorcism Sorbet, and all the adventurers loved it. And actually, we don't see much cold food in the series, so actually that was quite a nice sweet treat for the gang.
I love how it got to a stage where even Laios got to jump in to have a whack at the ghosts.
Yeah, absolutely. So what flavour did you get for yours?
I ended up getting the personal favourite of mine. I'm a mango fan, so I ended up going for the mango mochi.
I'm basic, man. I love chocolate. I couldn't pass up some chocolate, and so I picked chocolate. That's my that's my breakdown. Would you like to share what you got? The Holy Ghost brought me a pineapple and mandarin ice cream, which also sounds like a very refreshing flavour, so that's going to be a nice finish for you. I'm just going to give that back to her so she can actually enjoy it. And so with that, I think we're coming to
the final part of the episode, where we, I guess, have to grade it. For people who haven't seen Delicious in Dungeon, we need to kind of convince them why they should watch it. So I'll let you go first. What are you thinking?
Okay, so I think maybe to get a bit deep as well, when we started this series, Delicious in Dungeon is a type of anime I envisioned as something that would be so fun to cover, to watch, to try and replicate and eat, especially with so many friends. So
with our party members,
of course, like that's what makes hot pot so enjoyable as well. Like, if you come alone, it's a different vibe, but when you come with friends and other people and you're serving each other, picking what you'd like, and everyone's picking and serving each other from the hot pot, it's a very nice communal experience. And actually, I think that again draws parallels to episode 1, where when Senshi and the gang were very unsure about monsters, picking hot pot as your first meal is a really nice way to bring everyone together to say, this is a very weird thing we're doing, but we're not alone doing it. We're all gonna, But I think another funny thing, and maybe a little bit of a fun fact, whenever they try a new uncertain food, if you actually watch the series, the person to always take the first bite is Laos.
Because he's the one that wants to eat the monsters the most.
So he's the
Of
guinea
course
pig.
he'd be the first.
And
But
so basically everyone gets a bowl and then you just see Marcel and
He always the last.
Chilchuk just like looking over, is it safe?
yeah.
And then they'll go for it.
Would you say Marcel will be the last one usually? Because
Yeah.
what I do like about it is she starts off very reluctant to do it, but it gets to a stage where she eventually concedes to the allure of the
Yes.
aroma. And one thing that I actually love is a lot of anime put their budget in the fight scenes. This anime puts their budget in the cuts to the food
Yeah.
because they put a lot of effort into animating the food, making it look A1, and at the end they present it in the format with that little still.
Yeah.
It makes me want to just go, you know what? I want to get a chopstick and reach into the screen.
Dude, I really hope that either season 2 or like once it starts to pick up more hype, we get a Delicious Dungeon cookbook.
Oh,
I remember
yes.
in episode 1, Laos also refers to his gourmet guide.
He gets it out of his.
Yeah.
He reaches in, pulls it out.
And I think the one
Yeah.
thing that Senshi teaches him over the gourmet guide is the gourmet guide, for example, will say, "Oh, scorpion is edible," but Senshi means it doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
You know, you need to know the right ways to prepare it, where's the poison and everything like that. So I hope that through like those moments where they really highlight the preparation of the food and the final dish with the cut and then the name of the dish, that maybe we get that in a cookbook form one day.
That'd be dope.
Absolutely.
To round off, I guess we're gonna
Yes.
have to grade the show. So, sir, what are you thinking?
I think there's no surprise that I absolutely love this anime. Love the characters, love the storytelling. I think this is one of the more unique animes where even though it's one season, I've weirdly felt like I've been watching this for ages, like whether it's the time that's passed in the series or, the plot moves very quickly, they jump from one thing to another. Lots of food. It almost feels like real time. They're making references to previous episodes. Love the characters. Love Senshi. Love the food. For my Fresh Bites review ranking, this is going to be my first S rank.
Your first S.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid to hold back. I think when I look at the genre of the anime, I mean, if I'm debating whether it's just a fantasy, whether it's food, whether it's fantasy food, I think the way I'm rating it is that this is a fantasy food genre. And how many animes have done that? How many animes have attempted it? How many animes have just done this as like a side story?
Yeah.
And we've spoken about things like Food Wars as well in the past, and whilst that's got its own special place, this is something so unique, so enjoyable, and even in the non-food moments, I'm still watching to find out what happens next. Will they make it down the dungeon? Will they escape? Will they actually, So I think for me, it's an S rank, and
S rank.
I think
S,
so. Yes, S for me.
It's very high praise. It's
Yes,
very high praise.
absolutely,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So for my grade, I am very selective with what I give S's to, and as much as I enjoyed Delicious in Dungeon, for me personally, it's not going to be one that claws one of the rare S's that I will hand out. I'm going to basically give Delicious in Dungeon. I'm going to give it. It just makes it into an A. I'm going to say A because I went into it open-minded.
Yes.
And I came out the other side super surprised.
Yeah.
Like really actually like going to myself, this is an anime that I didn't think I'd enjoy as much. Out of all the things that we've reviewed so far for the Fresh Bites review series, this has a plethora of moments of like highlights of things that we haven't even mentioned.
Yeah.
Like if I was just to like reel off a couple of things, just running about it, going into detail, you can speak about the time where the mood of the whole anime changed because it had the whole format of the monster of the week kind of format where each episode you have a different monster they'll dissect, and then I was like, how far can it actually stretch this plot until it got to the stage where the plot changed on its head, and when that turning point happened, it became a whole entirely different story. So it got to a stage where I was like, you know what, I want to see where this goes. And spoiler alert, there will be a season 2, and I cannot wait to see that season 2.
I think it's one of those things where actually when you're watching it, it concentrates so much on food, you almost forget it's a fantasy anime. And then when that twist happens, you're like, all right, the story, like, and I think they do make jokes around it as well, where the whole purpose of the the series is we gotta go find and save Fallon. Laos gets so into eating monsters.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, is this the real reason? Like, shouldn't we be saving your sister? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, but if my sister was never eaten, we would never be able to try.
we wouldn't be here. They looked at him like,
we wouldn't be able to try basilisk, and we wouldn't be able to try.
they're like, my man, why are you saying this things?
You're like, is this the only reason we're here? I thought we're here to save Fallon,
And he goes, if Fallon was here, she would say something like, there's a silver lining behind everything. Well, there you have it. You had the first ever S ranking
That's
from
my
the
first S drop,
from the Fresh Bites review.
That's it, yeah.
Delicious in Dungeon, if you want to watch it, we definitely recommend it. It's something that, give it a shot, let us know your thoughts, and just we'll go from there. But
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
thank you for joining me today.
No, thank you as always, and thank you,
Yoshida,
guys. Yeah.
MGK, thank you for joining
Thanks
us
so
on this
much.
community episode.
Thank you. It was our pleasure. It was our pleasure.
I had a great time. I'm really full right now, but I'm happy we did this. Delicious in dungeon.
It's beautiful. Yeah, dungeon. The delicious dungeon. Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. I've been Arfath of Arfathi.
I've been Pizen of the Anime Freshman, and if you like what you see, make sure that you hit the back catalogue to see the previous episodes of the Fresh Bites Review. It'll be the link in the bio, all that good stuff. Guys, keep it fresh.